Welcome to episode 38 of our board game podcast, A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Detty, and joining me as my co-host, a man who apparently forgot his daughter's birthday. Ooh. And that's the reason we couldn't play this week. Gaz! Say hi, Gaz.
Hi, Gaz. And to clarify, we didn't play because I remembered her birthday.
That's right.
Not forgot, right?
Forgot to tell us is what I meant.
Yeah, forgot to tell you. Yeah, so 38. Wow, that sounds really high. I could swear it doesn't feel any more than about 32.
No,
Like,
it's going very quickly, but there's also, it's weird because when we release the chats episodes, now from now on, they're coming off as bonus episodes, so they're not adding to that number. amDirt Raw is not adding to that number. So really, when you add a lot of that kind of stuff, we're getting closer to, getting closer to kind of 50.
yeah.
But that's pretty cool, and that's in half a year. So I guess we can double that and just pump out 4 episodes a week.
4 episodes a week.
Yeah, why not?
What are we going to talk about?
Let's talk about what there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, all right. Like a Seinfeld podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got the source thing down, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
It's basically it.
Stop bringing it up.
Oh yeah, sorry. We're gonna let it go. Okay.
Let it
Otherwise,
go.
it could just consume us, like people consume the wrong. Never mind. So, I've been in touch with but not okay. I've had contact from listeners in the past who keep me in touch with their campaign, and I keep them in touch with our campaign, but they're listening to the episode, so it's kind of like it's a mutual thing, and that they usually is sometimes coming up with I can't play anymore because we've got a hiatus, someone's away, someone this and that. So, you guys are going to go right past. And now that's us, I guess, for the time being, because, we couldn't play this week. We're back to regular scheduling next week. And then we're in a weird spot.
Yeah, people are going away everywhere. We failed to stack our quests in our holidays, and we all decided to take holidays at separate times.
Yeah, but show must go on. And I guess as long as... Well, I guess I can still pump something out, which is something. Anyway.
Sure, why not?
And it looks like, with you missing a couple sporadically, I missed out the beginning, and Mark is kind of finishing off the missing thing. We may as well fire ourselves and hand over the amDirt name to Phil.
Yeah, Phil can run it from now on. So
because he's Mr.
Phil.
Consistent.
New captain.
New captain.
Captain, yeah.
We've had 2 amDirt chats down now. Having Weedy on last week was a really good reminder on why having a third person every now and then can really spice things up in the podcast room.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta if you're gonna deliver a joke, you gotta let people have a chance to actually have the joke, right? Like,
but you were gonna start talking and it was gonna ruin it.
So you thought you'd just make a weird sound?
I was making the badumts sound.
Yeah, I know what you were doing.
Okay. But yeah, it leads to differing opinions and views and things that we haven't thought of. So it's really cool when we have that third person there, and I, encourage other people who want to jump on and have a chat, especially about Frosthaven, to do so.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to jump on and have a conversation with us, then I don't know why you would, but like the fact that you're listening to us after 38 episodes is great. But yeah, reach out. Like, we're more than happy to have people from the community on. You don't have to be on the whole episode. Like, it's not if you don't have that much to say, or you haven't done something like that before. Feel free to. We're happy to just have you on for 5-10 minutes. Have a chat. You can ask Detty some spicy questions, and then just leg it, just out.
Would you encourage people who hate us to come on?
Oh yeah, they're the best people, right? Like, yeah, if people come on that love us, I mean, like, it's cool, like, and very flattering, and they're gonna say nice things. But the spicy stuff is the people who are like, well, I can't believe you guys managed to have 38 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like,
That's right.
You're terrible.
Getting
you
all
don't even know the
controversial.
rules,
That's right.
and and to that I would say, thanks for listening.
We'll see if that works. I'll just be on standby. the phone will be off the hook. So we also did rapid fire questions towards the end of our chat with Weedy last week, and I really, really enjoyed what that did. It was rapid fire true or false questions, and it was really fun to throw a couple of those his way. and sometimes they were just quick and easy, done and dusted, and other times it actually led to some very interesting topics. So it's something I really wanted to incorporate a little bit more in our discussions, where I can
Mm.
randomly throw some at you, and you can randomly throw some at me, and we can start to do a little bit of this and that every now and then on our episodes, especially if we get spicy ones, because I think we have some spicy ones.
True.
I have some spicy ones. And
True.
maybe we can rate the spiciness.
False.
Oh, right, you're doing it. Okay, cool. That well,
Oh,
we're
I thought we
done.
did. So we'd started.
We're doing them. All right, I'm gonna start you off. Having played through almost 2 full games of Gloomhaven, or something along those lines, and telling me you're kind of done with it after your last digital run, you're not interested in diving back into it with me when Gloomhaven 2.0 arrives for the full amDirt run-through experience again. True or false?
Yeah, that's one of those weird, like, you're not
Yeah.
questions for true or false. So, uh, false, I think.
So
I'm interested in playing through Gloomhaven 2.0.
you are interested in playing through the whole thing again?
Well, hang on. Yeah, I'm not going to play through half of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Because you gave
Yeah.
me inclement, like, because when it was announced, it was kind of right? And
Oh,
then
100%. I thought, oh, wow. Like, how many other ways could you try and take, not like, it's not like cash cow take money off people. It's like, how many times can you charge the same people for exactly the same thing?
hmm.
Right? Like, that's what I was like, oh, I don't know where this is going.
I think it was kind of like a general, maybe collective slight groan where people were a little bit like, oh, we thought the third and big box installment's going to come out, but it's kind of gone back to that to
Mm,
then maybe give it the Frosthaven treatment. And like, there are going to be people who this is their first one, which is going to be mind blowing, right? Because they're going to get their Gloomhaven, but they're going to get the updated fix. And then you've got people who've already done it, they've done it years ago. They're kind of, it's like how much, it's like a remastered, maybe, of a video game you've played. How much have they really cleaned it up and made it look nicer? Is it just a graphical improvement? Is there gameplay improvement? And you get some of those details drip fed through the campaign and through updates and all that.
yeah.
So it got me thinking, have you reached a stage now where you would play that with me? And can we do it again?
Yeah, totally. I think I did after Dwarf was on here and was telling us how good it was. I don't know if he talked much about it. I know we've talked to him a little bit about it, just how it is like not just Gloomhaven again. Like
Mm,
okay. I thought it was just Gloomhaven again with a new coat of paint and they were throwing some minis at us, right?
so did I.
Like a rated version. But then when I started to hear that they were redoing the classes, I was like, oh, okay, I see. And then, stuff came out like, no, they're trying to make it in line with Frosthaven, which is great. And then he spoke a little bit about just, more about the because I didn't look into it at all. Right. Like my opinion was based on zero information, which is what most of my opinions are based off. So,
Yeah.
I thought I was right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of talked a little bit about it and it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like it really does. And it's funny though, you mentioned people coming into that for the first time. I guess it's in the name, right? It's 2.0. You don't play a 2.0 game or you don't get the most recent version of something and then go, oh, I wonder what the old version was like. Like, I'm gonna roll back my OS like
Mm,
3 times and see if
yeah.
it. So I guess people playing Gloomhaven 2.0 can't go back and play Gloomhaven. Well, they can. I'm not saying you're not allowed to, but it doesn't make much sense.
Was seeing the discussions in Reddit when it came out, when it was launched, and when it was happening, to see the people in there every now and then, you'd have one person in there go, "Oh, I just finally got a copy of Gloomhaven. Like, literally just got it. We literally just started the first scenario, and now I know this is
Mm,
coming." And it's that really awkward kind of, "Oh, do we, guys? I'm just gonna put this campaign on hold for now because there's another one coming."
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of awkward that way.
In saying that though, like I remember when I was 16 playing D&D every weekend, we'd play Friday night, Saturday, do whatever, right? Like we would put a lot of hours into playing D&D.
Mm,
If we had like a Gloomhaven, like I could have smashed out a campaign in like 3 months.
mm,
Like the amount that we were playing, right? We easily could have. So I mean, there are probably people out there that are getting on the train a little late. Um, but they could probably finish Frosthaven before we do.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're
So
right. You're right.
But
And
in saying that though, if they are really late getting on the train, they probably aren't that quick at going through things. So they're probably not going to get through it all. So yeah, good luck.
yeah, and I don't know. Don't feel the need to play 1.0 to then see what the sequel is all about, or not. It's not even a sequel, right? That's the hard thing to my brain to process. It's
Yeah,
literally that
that's it. Yeah,
2.0.
that's it. It's not if you want to play Final Fantasy 10, you don't have to play 1 through to 9 first, right? That
Yeah,
it's I mean, you probably should because most of them are really good.
yeah.
And what are they up to? Final Fantasy like 28 now, or
I've
something
lost
like that.
count because I stopped bothering when they stopped making it turn based.
Yeah, true. It turned into like an action RPG, didn't
It
it?
got weird.
Like Spider-Man,
Yeah,
like Final Fantasy Spider-Man edition.
100%. That's where it went. What do you got for me?
Oh, is it my turn?
Hmm.
Okay. I don't know if I can top that. Is the outpost phase a waste of time?
Uh,
Oh, wait,
no,
wait, wait. Let
false.
me rephrase it.
Okay.
Is the outpost phase a waste of time, and why is the answer yes?
It's not always the time.
So true.
No. Why can't we do this properly?
I can. I'm just trying to
Oh,
mess
okay.
it up,
Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
doing it well.
Yeah, yeah, clearly. Because I'm
So
like,
no, you're saying no, it's not a waste
oh
of
no, it's
time.
not a waste of time. I think it's definitely not a waste of time. How else are you gonna level up? Like, you need to level up, you need to get your cards, you need to get your perks and all that kind of stuff.
There was no
If
outpost
there's no
phase in
outpost phase, you
Gloomhaven.
can't. Yeah, that you level up in the city. There was a,
Yeah, so there was no outpost phase in Gloomhaven,
and that was
and you could
fine
still
without an
level
outpost
up.
phase. Oh wait,
Pardon?
that's against my argument. No, 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 no. Don't worry, I'm confusing myself. Um, I, yeah, we discussed this last week where we went through kind of how we felt about a lot of parts of it, and there's there's a lot there that probably doesn't necessarily need to be there or needs to be. It's fairly streamlined, I guess, and that's probably where it sits in that awkward spot of it's not streamlined enough that it's fast and easy, but it's not detailed enough where you can sit there and be like, let's sink our teeth into this epic outpost phase kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of
So you're
sitting in
saying
a
it should
weird
be
spot.
longer?
I'm just saying it's not a waste of time because there are elements to it that I like.
Yeah, yeah, but you're saying it's not long enough.
I'm saying it's too long. I think it's
So
too
it's a
long.
waste of time.
No, it's not. Oh, God. That's.
It's all right. I always say I'm just messing with you. So okay, so you compare it to something like KDM, right? Which is another game from forever ago, which I haven't really played much of, but I know it also has a similar type of outpost phase.
Yes.
Is that fine because the game isn't as good?
Whoa. Take that, KDM.
No, like I mean, I know there's lots of people who would love KDM. I honestly haven't played it much at all, so I can't. Right, I can have an opinion on it, but like it's not as deep, right? Like it's go through the hunt phase, then go and fight a monster, and then come back to town, right? And then you're supposed to die heaps. That's the whole point of the game. You die heaps, die heaps, die heaps, and
Yeah.
build up a civilization. Like very different game,
Yeah.
but there is a base building outpost phase of that game, right?
Yes.
And I feel like I don't know, but people probably aren't saying that's a waste of time
I,
but maybe because there's less depth in the actual going out part. Whereas Gloomhaven, Frosthaven are about going out and doing the adventure. So you're putting 95% of your time into
well,
that phase of the
that's
game,
exactly
right?
it. That's exactly it. The Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, 95% of what you're doing is solving the puzzle of this scenario and trying to get out. Right? Then you've got another 2%, which is the event that'll pop up and it may stump you, it may not. And then you've got city events and city phase, or in our case, Frosthaven, you've got the outpost phase, which takes up a little bit more time. So it's more like a 90
Mm.
10. KDM is literally a 33, 33, 33, in my opinion. It may not
Mm.
be seen that way. Some things might be like slightly longer than others, but they all, if anything, the hunt part. KDM also, by the way, is designer Adam Poots is his love child. It's Kingdom Death Monster. And yeah, it's a big naughty RPG. There's nudity in the rule book, okay? It's just, it's weird.
Oh,
And horror.
risque.
Yeah, it's super risque. But yeah, it's got a settlement phase where it just feels different. And I think it's because it's been fully fleshed out and, you've kind of got Frosthaven. Okay, this was already built into the system of KDM, right?
Mm.
Gloomhaven didn't really have an outpost phase. They've just kind of attached it onto the actual Gloomhaven to make it bigger. It wasn't necessary. What everyone thinks about Gloomhaven, they think of the scenarios, the action of the card usage, the fighting, all that kind of stuff, right? They've just bloated on the other side to give that part a little bit more substance when it probably didn't need it too much. So that's where I differ when it comes to something like KDM. KDM, you go out and do your fight, but then the settlement phase is already built in right from the get-go of something you need to do that's very important and it's managing, and then you have the hunt.
Some pretty flavorful words that you colorful words you're using there. I think it was added on, bloat, not needed. I think with some things, but
Despite everything
you
I
reckon
have said,
but you
it's
reckon
still
the
not a
outpost
waste of
phase
time.
is definitely needs to be there, not a waste of time.
I think it is not a waste of time.
Okay, cool, good.
Tell you
Glad we
that.
cleared that up.
Yeah. What a long-winded way to go around that, only to keep contradicting myself the whole time.
That's it.
Love it.
Yeah, and just for the record, I think it's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
You
completely fine.
baiting piece of shit. Okay. The event card system. It's a story, like the outpost events and the road events and all that kind of stuff. So the event card system, story and choices on one side, outcomes on the other. That was carried over from the previous games, works flawlessly, and that is why it hasn't received much evolution into its Frosthaven iteration.
False.
Why is
I mean,
that?
flawlessly is pretty. I mean, yeah, the flawlessly part is tricky because I don't think anything's flawless, right? Like, there's always ways to innovate and improve.
Yeah, but it hasn't seen
So
much though.
yeah, I suppose. I mean, the way you phrase the question makes it sound like you're talking about having answers on the front. Sorry, questions on the front, answers on the back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the way. Look, I think, yeah, that part hasn't been really, uh, like, innovated on.
Do you think it's a good
Uh,
way of doing the events, or there could have been a better way?
Oh, I mean, there's probably better ways, but they're going to cost more money and be more fiddly, right? Like, you could, when you're trying to print 100 of them, it's probably pretty cheap to print 100 cards and make them double sided.
I still think the cards are fine. It's just right now. Look. For example, they spent more money to make the discovery of exploring a scenario with the section book. So the section book divides all the different things that happen. Why couldn't they have done something like that with the events where it splits up the responses so you're never really seeing the other response? Because as
Yeah.
Mark pulled us up on today, you're not supposed to read the other responses despite the fact that they're right there. And they
Mm.
haven't solved that
Which
problem.
Which side note, like, come on, audience there. You're pretty keen to come out and tell us when we're doing the wrong thing. And when we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that we think we might be doing the wrong thing and by not reading the other ones, no one wrote in to tell us, no, 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 guys, you got to rule right. Like the first time in history, you're actually doing something correctly. So where were you on that one? Thanks.
Mm,
But no, I get what you mean. Yeah, like a little cool, like a choose your own adventure style book would be cool, right? Like, have the card, have the number, and split up where all the
responses go.
answers are, so they're never next to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that'd be cool. That'd be a cool way of doing it. I don't know what the cost to print a book is. I'm going to say negligible. So yeah, why haven't you done that, Isaac? Like,
The only reason I'm
that's
saying
basically
it
what you're saying, right?
is essentially because your eyes can peripheral vision. You can sort of see. When I'm reading a thing, my eyes can already see a
Mm,
pink triangle, a pink symbol, meaning everyone gets ward. And I haven't even had to read anything like that. It
yeah.
just scans it and just knows, you know.
Well, I mean, I mean that goes on a different tangent. But that like great job with the symbology and
Mm,
making that really clear. Like it's super easy to see almost any symbols in the game and recognize what they are. So when you're going to put them on a card, as I said, the peripheral vision is just going to pick it up like that.
mm.
I suppose the problem with the choose your own adventure book is you still got to print the card, so it's still increasing the cost, right? Like you couldn't really have it. Uh, like, I think the card draw for the event is fine, but I see what you're saying with the answers being on the back. That's where it's kind of,
All
it can
right,
be a bit
I'll solve that. Right, you split
yeah.
your summer event and winter events, right, for the road, and put them back to back.
Huh?
You got your summer events and your
Mhm.
winter events. So
Yeah.
they're on each side of the card. So once you're
Yeah.
out of summer, rotate the deck around, and there are your winter events. There you go.
Y Yeah, but then no, because that means that any event that is tied, like, so you have 2 events, right? Let's
Yeah.
say you have, they're stuck together.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you have done the summer version of that and that is removed from the game
Yeah.
or flipped into the deck, then the winter version can never happen.
But that adds more variance. There's going to
No,
be a
it
whole bunch of...
doesn't
Yeah, it
add
does.
more variance at
There's going to
all.
be way more cards that you're not going to see because they're on the other side of one of the cards you resolved and it's
But
gone.
that's not never seeing a whole bunch of events isn't variance.
This is going to print more cards.
Okay. See, yeah, cool. Okay, that could work. No, I look, yes, I agree with you. Look, one of the things I'm disappointed in with the support apps is that we use what do we use for the events?
Oh,
Fortella?
Fortella, yeah.
Yeah. So what's disappointing with that is that they haven't used that to make that problem not an issue, right? Like, so that one that we had that was the puzzle,
Yeah.
and it was like, hey, here's your puzzle. Is your answer A, like, I don't know, something, or is it this one? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, clearly it's that one. That's probably, and that's again, I know it's not Fatella's like job to fix these things, but that's probably how I see it better being fixed,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're
right? Use
right.
technology.
Yeah, the only problem with that is it puts apps like Fortella come with a cost. And you know, you had to buy it, right? You don't get it for free. That's the only flaw with that.
How much is it?
I don't know. You get the app and then you can download the game library of whatever game you're playing. And each game is
Oh,
a
do they do
different.
heaps of
Yeah, they
games?
do a whole bunch of different games.
Ah, okay,
I
cool.
mean,
That
with
sounds
their production quality, like you wouldn't want to waste that. Everyone needs a Viking lady voice, and whoever's doing that is probably pumping out heaps of games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose I don't know. I'm sure you could work it out.
Yeah,
Good on you for Tala, by the way. It's a great job.
amazing job. I'm still looking for a job.
Well, I've said that if people get enough people subscribing to our Patreon, then Daddy will read all the events for you. And if you've heard his voices, I think he does them occasionally by accident on the Raw episode. So if you listen to the Raw when he's reading the things out, then it's definitely worth a couple of bucks.
It's better when I mess it up as well.
It is, especially I think there was one where you didn't know where the person's voice was supposed to be finished.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
when they were not saying things,
yeah,
so it all ended up, and then yeah, they're the good ones.
yeah. Your turn.
Oh, my turn. Okay. Do class guides make sense for Frosthaven classes?
Yeah, they definitely do. So basically, in any
True or false?
well, it wasn't true or false. You said do class guides.
Yeah, so true or false?
Oh, true. Guides make sense. And I think in any game, on any system, whether it be board, video, whatever, there's always going to be someone out there giving advice and making guides and helping other people around. I think in a game like this, where some of the characters or classes can be quite tricky, I think it can be really difficult, especially for people who are getting into it for the first time. They're picking something like the Geminate because they should be allowed to pick whatever class they want, whatever makes them happy, and somewhat make it work to a degree. And if they're struggling with that and someone's out there offering them a guide to help them make those decisions, I think that's brilliant. That's wonderful. Okay. It's a double-sided thing because I have an issue with when, and this is for every game, when guides are gospel. And like you were talking with me earlier about CCGs, when there's net decking, there's metas. When it gets to the point where someone else's decisions is kind of like shunned because it's not the optimal way of doing something because a guide said so, that's where I sort of have an issue with it. I like going into something and trying to work it out myself. And I do so quite poorly sometimes, which is why I don't really enjoy deck builders because I can't piece a lot of the pieces together. And I've played CCGs with you where we both built a deck and your deck destroyed mine. And I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. You synergize that, which buff that. I can't even work that simplest parts of that out. I just doesn't work for me. I enjoy making the plays and all that kind of stuff, but piecing it together I don't like so much. This is where those kind of guides are handy, but it's just sometimes it just takes on a whole new mutation and it just can ruin a community. You look at video games like Dota, you look at games like League of Legends, and you play a character, there is an expectation you play it a certain way, right? And I feel like sometimes that can trickle down into other communities where it's not needed.
Yeah. I think from that point, where it hurts communities is when people say, "I've built this character this way based on this class guide, and it's boring." Right?
Yeah.
Like, I followed the guide to the T and spent no time thinking about it, and, I don't think the class has enough options.
Yep.
And that's where yeah, you kinda look at it. And you're right, I guess that's a community thing, right? And it's a flow-on effect because someone writes a guide that says, "Hey, this is really good," and then people read the guide, and then they do the thing, and then they write a guide, or they comment and say, "Yeah, that's really good," and then suddenly it's just a weight of numbers thing.
Mm.
Now, it's hard sometimes to work out what is good and isn't. The problem is that statistics will tell you, and I mean, from CCG perspective, right? It's everyone's dream to bring a homebrew deck to a big tournament and spike the tournament and win, but it never
Mm.
happens. That a caveat with an asterisk, it does happen, but it's super rare,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Because especially in games like Magic, for example, where you've got teams of people that are just smashing games out, they just have enough reps to know what's going to win, and um, it's got enough, like, visibility, there's enough people playing it,
Yeah.
and I think that's the same if you take something like Frosthaven is that people I mean, there's not that many options, as in you can't play something completely different to everybody else, but I think you could go out there and say, "Hey, this worked really well for me."
Yeah.
But you probably just, like, one voice amongst a bunch of people yelling crushing weight.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. I think you're right, and I think that it's just the things that I see sometimes when it comes to those people that pick those, the it's like there are cards. I can almost see it in my head. There's pictures where it's like you're leveling up to level 2, you're playing the drifter or whatever. There's the two cards, and you can see a percentage on them. 97% of the community is taking this one, 3% is taking
Mm,
this one. And, you know, if you don't take the 97% one, you're wrong. And you're not going to have a good time. You're not going to be, all that. And I like, as I've demonstrated earlier, it's like, oh, Crushing Weight just looks so stupidly OP. I don't want to be bringing it because I like to go against flavor of the month, right? I hate when everyone's playing the same thing. And in that's a different instance because it was so one-sided that it was kind of like, well, I can't really make this work unless I follow a guide and look forward and see what's coming out later and plan accordingly, which
mm,
is something also I don't want to do. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that. So it's just how people perceive. If you follow those kind of things and then, like you say, you're not really having fun or it's too easy or whatever, you're ruining it for yourself ultimately, right?
mm,
It's that discovery. Long time ago, you mentioned Final Fantasy, playing the early Final Fantasy 7s and 8s, there's a fear of missing out. And back then, there's magazines, maybe early days of the internet where you have game facts and someone's written this giant text wall of a guide that's like, get to this checkpoint, make sure you go behind the NPC to pick the item. And then when you get to this fight, use the main basic attack twice and then use Shiva's special ability and it should kill it. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And I would follow that. And I would do
mm.
that and be like, hell yeah, yeah, it killed it. Awesome. Oh shit, where am I up to? What's next? And looking back at that, it's kind of like, that was fun to me, but I would hate that now. But it was
Mm,
that mindset of playing the game without knowing that where that tiny bit of gold was behind that wagon. I don't want to miss any of that,
yeah.
because that's going to potentially ruin the whole game if I don't have all that. So it put me in a weird spot.
Yeah. I think personally, and maybe this is a thing that has happened as I've gotten older, much like you say, self, like where how you used to play games to how you play now, is that I love the feeling of finding those synergies with characters, with cards, with games, with races, the factions, whatever you're playing, or finding that extra gold or the elixir behind the cart because I ran around to every single wall on the map and mashed like pick up, right? And then I found it, and you're like, yes, I knew I'd find you, right?
Mm,
Like that feeling of doing that is outweighs the fact of not missing it,
yeah.
right? Like, and that's where I mean, I don't play in card tournaments and stuff like that to win as much as I play to have fun. If I really, really wanted to win, and I remember going to a couple where I was just like, I'm just gonna, I know what the best decks are,
Mm,
okay, and I'm just gonna grab one and I'm gonna play it, and I did really well. Like I did probably better than I had in most of them,
mm,
and I go, okay, cool. I mean, that was fun to win and get to the top table, but at the same point, I was like, yeah, it's kind of used everyone else's ideas. So, you know,
Yeah.
um,
In a way,
yeah,
ultimately, it's a supply and demand thing. There's always going to be someone going, I need some help. I don't need to understand how to play the Gemini properly. I don't know what's going on. And then there's someone there to say, okay, well, what are you doing? How can we help you? I recommend doing this, 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 this. Follow these, and you may get more success and luck, And as long as there's people looking for these things because they genuinely want to, it's
yeah.
fine. It's really fine. And that's why, yes, true.
Okay, cool. All right, did you hear that, everyone? Keep making guides.
Keep making guides. Gaz is going to make one soon.
I hear Daddy's already made his drift one. He just shouted crushing weight into the microphone for about 30 seconds and then just ended recording.
I reckon it's a good guide. People who make bold claims on the internet when it comes to their Frosthaven accomplishments, like, I could beat all of the scenarios on +7 difficulty. I one-shot my solo scenario. It's not that hard. Or once I hit a boss for 312 damage once. Are fabricating the details and are doing it for the internet points.
I can't talk for every situation that everyone's made some bold claim. Okay, I'm gonna split this into two.
Yeah.
I'd say false, they're fabricating it,
Mm.
and I'd say true, they're doing it for the internet points.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So yeah, yeah. I mean,
We were chatting about this a little bit earlier in a different kind of way. And it's really difficult. You play a game of League of Legends or you play Valorant or whatever, Counter-Strike. People get to see your skill, right? In quotation marks. They get to see your skill because they're actually physically, like, they're watching you play it for real. It's really hard to mimic that in a game like this because it's all, most of the times it's done in private. And then there are some people out there putting content out, like we're doing it through a podcast. There will be others who are doing it through Twitch. There'll be others who are doing it through YouTube. And they're actually sitting there playing through the whole thing. It's really hard to do that knowing that you're going to stick to the rules, like not so much stick to the rules, but you're not going to miss something. And that's where sometimes it gets tricky because, like you said, 9 times out of 10, probably people don't realize they're making potential mistakes. And to me, maybe that, adds a little question mark over legitimacy of how successful people are
so
doing these things.
so you're claiming that anyone who's had any feat of accomplishment in Frosthaven is actually there's an asterisk next to it and they cheated.
Not a feat of accomplishment. I think it's the ones that are extra boasty.
So the bigger the boast, the more likely that they don't know how to play the game, is what you're saying.
Not that they don't know how to play it. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm just
Nah, I know what
saying.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, irrelevant, I think, of any feats of accomplishment. I think I was saying this to you earlier about the different bits and pieces. We have our game out there because we talk about things. We talk about how things went, and we have rules corrections. We've recorded stuff, and we're under a lot more scrutiny than most of the Frosthaven community, right? Uh, Now, I think there's a few other out there that are making content that also fall under that same scrutiny, and that's not to say that others aren't scrutinized and people don't keep their games in check. But I'm sure we've all played this where you work out after you do a scenario that you played a card wrong, or 2 scenarios later you're like, oh, that doesn't work like that. Shit, okay, I'll fix it up. And that's the kind of stuff that can change. Now, I feel like if people are making really bold claims about how good they are at everything, then I mean they might be true, but I don't know if it means they're playing the game wrong or making mistakes,
Hmm.
or if it's invalidated.
Guess we'll never know,
Uh,
though.
Pardon?
Guess we'll never know, though.
No, we won't. But I think the thing to remember is though that it's like in a vacuum, and uh, yeah, you don't know the context of all that stuff, and that's again not to discredit it, but it's like screenshot it didn't happen, right? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's yeah, that sounds cool. And that's why actually with some board games, one of the things I don't like about some board games that are like head down bum up tableau builders
Mm.
is that you don't really get to see the cool shit that everyone else does. That's why in some of those games I really like to slow it down and like work through people's turns, because when someone does a really cool turn, you get to celebrate that at the table. Like I love seeing people pull off really cool combos or have really good turns or really clever turns or big brain moves and stuff like that. But when you're all just focused on your own little thing, it doesn't happen. And that's kind of I guess what that kind of simulates. It's like people telling me about a thing that happened, in a game that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
No one else was there. So I was like, well, it's not that it didn't happen, but I can't feel the same joy as you,
Yeah.
right? Like you go, oh, I did 300 damage in one round, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I did 1,000,000 damage in one round. Like yours might be true and mine might be made up, but at the end of the day, it's the same effect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so yeah, I think yeah, not necessarily they're made up, but they're definitely doing it for internet points.
Mm.
And look, internet points are really important. One day there's going to be a cash-in scheme, and those people are going to be able to get something real cool.
Isn't internet points just crypto?
Oh, is it?
That's what I thought.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Wait,
thought they were just a made-up currency that didn't mean anything.
that's same
Isn't
thing, right?
that like what's that? What's that show called with
Oh, whose
the
line
guy
is it
from Drew
anyway?
Carey? Yeah,
The
you know
points don't
everything's
matter.
yeah everything's made up and the points don't matter.
That's right.
That's the internet, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
that's us. That's
NFTs.
us
Yeah,
now.
NFTs. Is that's this? Oh, I don't want to say controversial thing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's.
I mean, I
completely fair.
do, but only about Frosthaven.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
well, we're getting a little spicy today, trying a little bit of something different.
All right. My last one is Phil overall having a bigger impact on the game with his media than he ever did with his Deathwalker.
Oh.
Oh, hang on. I'll drop the word is so it's true or false. Phil is
Okay.
having a bigger impact with his media on the
That doesn't
games than he did with his Deathwalker.
that doesn't help. Oh, dude. It's not black and white. Oh, wait, you didn't even answer black and white the last one. You were like, oh, I'm going to split this into two parts. So I'm going to split this into two parts, guys.
No,
So-
I split the two. You had two things in there. You made up and for internet points. You asked me two questions, so I answered both of them.
Well, you've got two things there, media and Deathwalker.
No,
so-
I'm saying is his media play more impactful than his Deathwalker? That's the question. Don't try to weasel out of it.
Now, is the question in relation to me as a snowflake?
No, it's got nothing to do with you. I didn't mention you. Like, hang on, wait. So let me get this straight. You've asked a question about Phil and how he's playing and around how he's doing really well. Is this about me? Like, is this about me and my big plays as a snowflake? Like, because I can tell you about them. I did 300 damage this one time and I soloed the scenario. Like,
that did happen.
Just so you know.
That totally happened. It was in one hit because of Phil. I'm going to say true if I'm on my snowflake because obviously it enables me. And it just means that he's doing a lot of damage, but he's also enabling other people to do a lot of damage, which didn't really happen with the Deathwalker. And I think his Deathwalker enabled him, and that was good. His burst damage was fantastic. We knew if there was a target or something that needed to die, he would take care of it, and that was great. With this, he enables me and potentially enables you. You've got a little bit of pushing action, and so does Mark. Like, he definitely is probably more impactful now because in a way he's spreading his damage. Maybe individually not as high, although he's starting to hit those numbers. But collectively, without him, my numbers go down. So, yeah, I think he is. Good work, Phil. And you're not even in those scary levels yet. Who knows?
Scary levels.
I don't know, 7, 8? We don't even know what's coming. Like, we saw what happened to his Deathwalker, and of course, every character seems to just spiral once they get to 7 or 8 with those cards. And we don't know what those are. All right, thank you. That was weirdly good and went to some places I didn't expect to. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was really long for a rapid fire session as well. Like,
well, because we need clarifications on the questions. So.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, are you asking about my performance? I mean,
up.
just to check. When you said Phil, you meant me, right? Like, yes, Daddy, have 10 internet points.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna be rich. So I want to have a little chat about some of the battle goals. I'm probably gonna do 10 based on this. I'm gonna cover 10 battle goals. There are 60 battle goals in the game. I'm gonna look at there are 60 in the game. As far as I can tell, based on the numbers, it looks like there's 60. I could be wrong. There could be some hiding on my desk somewhere, but I have found the first 10. And we're gonna have a little delve into some of these battle goals. Are they good for the game? Are they designed well? Maybe who's it good for, etc. Okay. So starting off with number 1, it's called Countant. Have 0 cards in your hand each time you rest. And I can't say I've seen this. Or
Yeah,
maybe
I
I
did it
have a
on my crab.
long time ago on my drifter.
I did it on my crab.
Yeah. Is it awkward?
Is doing it on my crab awkward?
Oh, maybe not, because you have the option to play 2 or 3 cards, so that's quite
Yeah.
easy for you to balance.
I did it really easily, and I just made sure I had even cards, and then when I had odd cards, I burn a card, and then someone pointed out that I can just play 3, so I have the option of evening
That's
that out.
right.
Yeah, so it's actually really easy to do on the crab. I didn't do it the easy way, but it wasn't very hard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Uh, I
okay.
I f I feel like it would be harder if you started with an odd number of cards and for certain classes. So for the, trap, it starts with 9 cards and
Mm.
basically exhausts, as soon as they get hit. It would be really hard.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I start with 11, but there's usually a persistent that's getting played in the first turn, so it kind of starts to even itself out
Yeah, yeah.
a little bit. So yeah, no, it's interesting. I do like the fact that I like anything that messes around a little bit with tempo and messes around a little bit with your head when it comes to planning. Those kind of battle goals are probably
Yeah,
among the
that's fair.
favorite instead of ones that just flat out screw your friends.
Yeah.
We have number 2, Acrobat. Lose a card to negate suffering 5 or more damage. And I think earlier on in the game, this is quite okay. I think later on in the game, when our health points are getting higher, maybe it's a little bit more. I suppose things get harder as well, right?
Yeah, but you don't need to use it as often, right? Like, getting hit for 5 damage in at the start kills most characters, so you're 100% gonna discard a card. I
And
feel like
and
this one's
and at
perfect for the
the
trap.
and at the end of the game, it kills Mark. So
Yeah, that's it. So it's yeah, you're right. Like, it probably drops off a little bit as the game gets higher because when you've got 15 to 20 health,
mm,
getting hit for 5 is like a oof, that hurts, but you're probably not discarding a card unless it's killing you.
mm. Yeah, okay. No, I don't like that one. I don't like ones where I have to manage my health because that could go anywhere.
You don't have to manage your health. You're managing your cards.
Yeah, but yeah, yep.
It's got the word health in it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have to
Yeah,
manage my health.
okay.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah,
scary word, and it made me think of that.
yeah.
Ascetic. Is that a word? How do you say that? Ascetic. 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 We'll go with that. Collect fewer loot tokens than any other character. This one is very funny because I think every time it comes up, someone in the group will ask, how many loot tokens does everyone have? It's always a question.
Mm,
And the most recent person was Mark, who didn't realize it towards
yeah,
the very end.
yep. Yeah. I mean, this band basically just says don't loot anything, right?
Is it? Did I not read
Oh,
that
well,
properly?
no, no,
Collect
no.
fewer
No,
loot
you're
tokens. Oh,
correct.
no.
It's
Yeah.
saying loot less, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
But you still have to loot one, right?
do you?
I don't know. I'm almost certain you do. Because you have to
Well,
have less loot tokens. You can't have none loot tokens.
well,
You have to
0 is
have
less
less.
than 1.
Well, hang on. Maybe not. I don't,
Maybe 0 isn't lower than
I
1.
don't know. Who knows? Maybe
Hang
it's
on.
0.
Pardon?
Yeah, maybe you need to have at least one, but you just have to have fewer.
What does the card say?
You and your what does the card say? Collect fewer loot tokens than any other character. It does say you have plural.
So now you have to loot 2.
I think now you're no. I think you're looking collectively at the tokens around the table, and you need to have fewer
Yeah.
than everyone else, which is
Yeah.
one.
Okay. All right.
It's probably 0. Let's be real.
I feel like this gets clarified a lot because um yeah, I don't know. The wording on that one's weird.
It makes sense that it's 0 because everyone loots 1, right? If you're forcing everyone to loot 2, that's gonna be rough.
Mm.
Assist, especially if someone else has the other loot one that says never loot, tile, treasure, whatever. Which
Yeah,
might be a
it's screwed.
Gloomhaven one. I'm not too sure. Assistant kill. These look like they're in alphabetical order. That's interesting. Like that's clever. How'd they think of that? Assistant kill an enemy attacked by any of your allies earlier in the same round.
I don't remember this one being done. I assume it has been because it sounds like a reasonably easy one.
I reckon that might be one that I've seen Phil have, but Phil also goes really early on his Deathwalker, like it was during the Deathwalker era, and then probably really difficult to get because he usually goes
Yeah.
first and then destroys things. But no, that one there, yeah, obviously you're gonna want to be a slower person and not go instant pew pew. This
Which
one's
is really hard in our group when everyone's trying to pad the shit out of their meters, right?
I don't.
Come
That
on.
sounds like everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't go for E points. Bastion. Now, this one is considered to be by people in the community as the worst battle call designed.
No, really. It's tall. There's 60 of them.
Yeah. Occupy a door hex adjacent to 2 or more enemies at the end of a round.
But that's gross.
Oh, so you agree with this?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to put it as the worst one because I haven't heard the other like 54 of them, but like it so far, it's the worst by far out of all the ones you've read.
It's sounds. Look, I think the kicker is it's 1 tick. So
What? It should be like a whole perk.
yeah, it should really
So
be.
hang on, what is that like?
So you have to
Occupy a
occupy the
door
door
hex
hex. Yeah.
next to 2
Yeah.
monsters.
That and you're adjacent to 2 monsters
So
or more.
look, that's not that. If that was in Gloomhaven, that wouldn't be that hard
No.
because there's lots of doors in Gloomhaven.
And lots of
In
times where
Frosthaven,
things come out to you. So they're going to meet you at the door.
yeah, totally. Like you spend most of the time doorway fighting. So if you were a frontline character of sorts, like that'd be super easy. You pick that every time because you're probably going to do it in the first couple of rooms.
Mm.
Frosthaven, on the other hand, half the scenarios don't even have doors.
Mm.
Like, so you'd be like, oh, okay, no doorway task. Cool. I guess I can't complete my battle goal. Now, I mean, that's why you choose one that you know about, but
It is completed at the end of the round as well, though. So it doesn't have to be the turn. So as long as they're next to you. So if you have help from a certain snowflake, they can probably mitigate that for the person who's using that, right? Push pull on enemies,
oh
get them into
wow,
the
hang on.
doorway.
So they've got to be there at the end of the round.
Mm.
So if you kill them,
Oh yeah, they're not. That doesn't count. At the end of the round, you have to be in a doorway adjacent to 2 enemies at least.
oh, this is getting worse.
Oh, okay.
Like
I was just trying to make
it
it
should.
easier for you.
No. I mean, like if you're gonna give someone 1 tick for jumping through all of these hoops, then at least just do it like occupy a door hex next to 2 monsters. End of story.
Mm.
Right? And that way you can move into that space and then have a turn and kill something and then you don't lose it.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine moving into that space and be like, oh, I'm finally going to achieve Bastion. I'm going to be the one person on the internet that did it. And then someone be like, oh, okay, I'll just, Phil come over and go, oh, what's the purple card? I haven't, oh, that's the crit one, isn't it? Ah, I did 28 damage to that thing. And you're like, great, thanks, Phil.
Yeah, fail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They should actually start adding if you like fail it or if you do the opposite of what it wants. Like you fail it so badly, you lose a perk.
You lose a perk.
Yeah, you go down.
Do you reckon that they should introduce some kind of, you know how Nemesis has your goals, but sometimes your goals are to kill other people, right? Do you reckon that Frosthaven or Gloomhaven 2.0 should introduce like anti-battle goals where your objective is to screw someone else over? That's what it is, and it's worth like double ticks.
Like in Station 4?
Kind of, yeah. Like as in kill a mob and make someone not be able to have their turn properly.
Do you get something out of it, or is it just
Yeah, you
preventing
get
them
ticks.
from getting something out of it? Because if it's just being a dick, then I mean, yeah. But if it's you're getting something out of it, then it makes more sense. Yeah. Sorry, Phil.
So you said yeah to both of them. So
Yeah.
you're happy if it's just being a dick, but you're more happy if you get a tick and you get to be a dick.
Yeah, you want to get something.
okay.
You want a bonus.
Yeah, because I just feel it would work really well for Mark because he does that on a regular basis, right? Like he books other people's battle
He
goals, so
does.
he'd be like flying up the chart.
Yeah.
Like
And PQs. Bully. Kill an enemy that has 2 or more negative conditions. That, funnily enough, is one that was circulating forever in our towards the end of our last shuffle. And it was always with Phil, who I'm pretty sure his Deathwalker could never really put conditions on things. And with the exception of Bane, but that was a lot. So that I like.
yeah, that one's fine. I mean, it's tricky to do for some classes. Like any of the ones that require you to kill an enemy with in certain parameters can be like difficult to line up because there's so many factors, right? I mean, you draw in itself is one of them. That can always affect things because you're generally not trying to overkill too hard.
Yep.
if it's got 4 health, you're not doing, well, if you've got 2 health, you're not doing like an attack 4 or 5 on something because you go, that's a waste. So you go, oh, okay, this thing has 2 statuses. I'll do an attack 3 on it. That should kill it. Oh, I'll pull my -2. Now I did 1 damage. Now it's not dead. Oh, like, you
Yeah,
know, so that's where that gets tricky.
it does. But it's also really amusing when that happens. Or
Oh,
when someone
yeah.
complains
And we
about it.
yell, amDirt.
Yeah.
amDirt.
We have Cleaner. This is number 7. Collect 3 or more loot tokens in the same turn. I mean, that's easy for
Oh,
Crab.
vacuum.
Yeah.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah. And it's actually not bad because we make a lot of burgers.
Oh, yeah, we do make burgers. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So those that
that's
are
group
unfamiliar,
dependent.
we should, burgers are when we have difficult terrain and then we decide to kill all the monsters on top of the difficult terrain. And sometimes you have other things sliced in there. So
Like the
when you look at all the
shadows
tiles up,
and yeah.
yeah, it looks like a little burger.
Yeah.
So
Closer. Kill the last enemy to die in the scenario. That one's
that one
actually quite
sucks.
it's quite easy to get when you're sitting there going, can I kill that? And everyone's like, oh, sure.
Yeah, so that's one of those ones that you don't do anything about, and then you're like, "Hey guys, so like, there's no reason, but I'm just gonna ask this favor if I could. Could you not kill that one monster that happens to be the last one
Mm-hmm.
for reasons?"
Mm-hmm. And they let you, unless they
Mm,
mark. Conservator. Never perform an action with a lost icon.
that one's the worst card ever. That one says, and in all seriousness, this one says, "Hey, did you want to have fun tonight? Because if you do want to have fun, don't pick me, right?" Like, this is that person that you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go out to the bar," and you've got a friend that's like, "I'm gonna complain the whole time and constantly ask you to go home, and I'm also gonna give you shit about drinking. So if you don't wanna have any fun, don't take me." Right? They give you that option at the start.
Wow, that's a really interesting way of saying that that card is that guy. That's terrible. I don't want that.
That's it, don't pick that card.
Yeah, look, that was never a drifter option. Obviously, I think I could get away with that with the snowflake, and just not use chilling impact, which I did anyway when it came to my when I was doing the getting my mastery. And I mind you replace it with another persistent for push pull, but I mean now that I've completed that, I wouldn't I really care about that. I think Mark's another one that I don't really know how his cards work for when it comes to lost icons, but I could quite comfortably do that. Phil would lose his shit. He wouldn't be able to do this. I know he's got he's got a massive eruption there. He likes to,
He loves telling us about his eruption. He's like, "It's
just,
gotta erupt, guys, like, I'm gonna explode," yeah.
yeah, and you as well. You would hate
Oh,
that.
yeah, I'm telling you, that one,
Anti
I
you
don't
and
know.
anti Gemini, really. It's anti you and
Oh, that one
always.
says the Gemini gains 0 XP this turn. That's what it also should say. It's would you if you gain 0 XP, then you can also have is it 2 ticks?
It's one.
Oh, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Nah, I reckon
it's
that's the worst one. I reckon that's worse than Bastion.
interesting.
I mean, I guess what people are gonna say is that it's easier to achieve because you hit most classes could go through and not burn a card. Bastion is super niche because there's no
You're
doors in
gonna,
Frosthaven.
like you say, you're gonna hate yourself doing it.
Oh, every turn. You're gonna
Mm,
be like, oh, like even if you don't burn that many cards, you still have a couple of those cards you've got that you're like, yeah, I know when I'm gonna play this, right? Because it's gonna be a really payoff. And you're gonna get to that moment and be like, oh, hey, did you want to shine in this moment? And you're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, well, just you better not get in the spotlight, mate, because you're gonna lose your perks.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just watch.
Mm.
I do attack too, I guess.
So if we were tier
Right?
listing this right now, this is at your top.
If we were what tier
Tier
listing?
listing these in terms of how terrible they are. Would you put that one at the
It
top?
definitely is the one that makes you have the least amount of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's, like, one of the major reasons I'm playing the game.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
don't need
No,
it
that's a
to
good
have fun.
point. I didn't think of that. We were trying to have fun to play the game. Very clever.
Some of us are.
Last one for this first 10 is Die Hard. Never have your hit point value drop below half your maximum hit point value, rounded up. And that
You
is
can say
something.
what you said about the other thing now.
Was it about
Health.
health?
Yeah,
What did I
and
say?
managing health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hate managing health.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
one?
fine.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
yeah,
Hate managing health. I
yeah,
don't
it
like that,
sucks.
and that's
Yeah.
someone that yeah, definitely don't like it, especially on the drifter. And because I don't bring heal cards on the snowflake, I hate it on that too. So I
Heard
do.
it here
I
first.
do actually. That's not fair. I do bring Snowball, but it's not for the
Is that a heal
regen.
card?
It's got a regen up the top.
Oh, okay.
I do use it sometimes. I haven't in a while,
Y
but I do
You
use it.
used to put regen on heaps of people and ward as well, but now
Yeah.
it's just throwing schlongs out.
Oh, lately it's more the scenarios we've been up against. Like because also I was doing my mastery, and then we haven't also caught up in a little while. So
Mm,
yeah, calm
I don't
down.
know. I don't know.
Calm down.
Yeah, that one sucks.
All right. So the last bit for today, we're gonna have a little a little chat about our little friend, Ormy. When we had Ormy, we got him in a scenario, and I can't remember the number of it, but it was when we met the Beyblades and we had to run all the way through towards the end, and he was, digbagging around. But we
Mhm.
never got to actually do our Ormy segment in retroactive and actually go back in time and see what would happen if it was maybe the first event we pulled on day one.
Oh, you wanna go through every scenario and ask if they're all good Ormi
Yeah.
scenarios?
Yeah. So I've got a little list here, starting with scenario one, the one where I discarded the card after the first round because of the
Mhm.
Algo's Archers. Does he survive scenario?
No, archers, he can't survive archers.
I 100% agree with you. Anything?
So, there's probably a few caveats. Anything with the archers, Algok archers, he cannot play.
Okay. So also scenario two then.
No.
You're right.
Well,
Scenario.
scenario 2, we lost because we couldn't keep the priest alive. We're not keeping this dude alive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Or maybe we'll technically be further back though.
He does move slower. That one maybe not as bad because that one was pretty long. That one had like 1, 2, 3 rooms in it. So as long as we moved at a decent rate, which is the reason we lost it the first time because we refused to do that. We just
Mm,
like, you go in, no, you go in, and then the priest dies. We're like, I guess no one will go in now because we just lost.
that's right.
Uh, so yeah, I mean that one might be fine because we could jump in, kill the archers.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think
but
he'd stay out of the way.
but they just have a chance of one-shotting him because they, like, always draw green cards and their attack always says, like, 6 or something like that on it.
Yeah, in scenario one, I agree. Scenario two, I don't think so. I think scenario two, we're fine. I think the only problem with scenario one is it's an extra body on the floor, and because of that tree that we have to navigate around, it just becomes
Oh, that
even a
was so
bigger
hard.
conga line
Yeah, that
because
tree.
there's no way over it.
Unstoppable. Yeah, there's no way over it. Yeah. Yeah, 2 would be fine as long as we pushed in through the first 2 rooms quickly.
Okay, scenario four. Scenario four was our first introduction to Snowflake and
Mm,
Ice Fist. And the first room, we had the archers again
mm,
and a bunch of just normal Algox guys. And then we
yeah.
had the big
Yeah,
fight.
the duel. Look, I feel like he would accidentally get KO'd with collateral damage. Like,
A million
he
percent.
just find his way because I seem to remember that they were doing some multi-target attacks and AoE attacks, and I feel like he'd go in there, and also because of positioning, right? Like I'm pretty sure the snowflake started closer to the door, and
Mm.
the fist was away, and we were like, okay, well we're gonna kill the fist. He'd walk through the door eventually, be like,
Start.
oh, is that who we're getting? Let's get her. And we're like, no, no, not her. And he'd just walk up to her and be like, don't worry, guys, I've got this.
Yeah,
And then she'd just accidentally just KO him. And we'd be
absolutely.
like, oh, me, what are you doing? You
Yeah.
weren't even fighting the right person. Like, yeah,
So
so
true. That's so warmy. Like that's so
that's
warmy.
classic on me.
I
Yeah.
know. Scenario seven is what we did next, and that's when we actually started to venture down into Lurkerland and experiment with some crabs.
No, that
That
won't
was
be
our
fun. That
first
one, I
instance
didn't even
of
think
it.
there was any monsters in that one.
That's right.
Like, yeah, that was, yeah.
We then had scenario five. Scenario five is when we went down into, well, we fell into a catacomb kind of thing. And there was an orb that kept the Yetis, that was our frozen corpses and first instances of frozen corpses, made them immune until we destroyed the orb.
Yeah. Well, that one been okay. That first room with the shifting, what
Ice
are they,
wraiths.
ice demons?
Wraiths.
Race, yeah. I look, that could be tricky because they're range ones, and or the melee ones that have retaliate, I think
Mm,
it is. Yeah,
mm.
like again, Ormi could get ahead of steam and be like, "Don't worry, guys, I've got this," and then he goes up and necks himself with a retaliate. So, but yeah, that one was okay, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Not
It's
too bad.
it's only problematic if he because the from my memory the scenario was quite small. Is the first two rooms felt small-ish, and next minute you're into the larger room with the orb at the end. If he makes his way into there and he starts trying to get involved with the Yetis while they're immune, yeah, there's a possibility he cops a backhand in the face. But
So there's a big piece here is if you have a snowflake with birds, then most of the scenarios with Ormi, I think, get harder because you can't stall him. Because as soon as you play birds, he's just like, "Let's go, boys!"
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I hear what you're saying. You've
Mm,
just played Speed Song, and we're
mm.
getting in, and you're like, "No, no, not you, not you.
Everyone,
You're
not
supposed to
you.
stay back." Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. Number 9. All right. So then we went to number 9, and what I'm loving is we just talking to you right now. These are scenarios that we
mm.
may not have thought of in a long time, and I can still see them,
Yeah,
which
same.
is
You're mentioning them, and as soon as you explain it, I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I remember that. That's yeah, it's
so.
cool."
Scenario 9 was the one where we actually started off in a very large room, and I needed to loot all the coins, and I believe I couldn't because there was some were falling onto obstacles. I think it was that one. And then we had a Geminate who decided to exhaust in a
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah,
corridor,
that one. Slimes, yeah,
and then
yeah.
we dealt with the ooze room.
Yeah, this one would be amazing for him because it's such a long thing. He wouldn't have even known there were oozes in this thing.
No.
Like,
In fact, I could have really used him around round 19 when he finally made his way in there to help me with them because I was doing it
yeah,
by myself.
yeah, that's it.
So that's what you want. You want long ones with nothing coming from behind and
Yeah.
and all of that.
Mhm.
We then had scenario 13, which I'm going to go out and say I reckon he might have been in trouble. So this is the one with the bridges, the 2 bridges and the Shriek Fiends that we start off with. And then you have all those wind demons that come afterwards. And then they're split
Yeah.
into our first instances of snow imps. And I think it's just because the Shriek Fiends with their giant pool and Kalat, he would need to be healed.
Yeah, you'd have to have a heals, like, have like a heal bot on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one would be tricky. Again, like archers. Archers is a bit of a joke, but, like, they're no joke. But the Shriek Fiends definitely, because you can't stop it. It's like range 5 or something, isn't it, that they
Mm,
pull you in? That's gonna be so hard to avoid because they do take a little bit to drop, so
mm.
mm.
We then went straight to 32. And 32 was Raven's Roost with the frozen corpses that then turned into.
Not a chance. If the frozen corpses didn't get him in that big clusterfucker room, sorry,
Frozen corpses into
then
Shriek Fiends. That's right. I'm trying to remember the
yeah,
combo.
yeah,
Uh,
then the Shriek Fiends they turned into would have got him, and if they didn't get him, the
the
Harrowers outside the
Harrowers
door,
and then the
yeah,
tree.
they would have got him. Well, the Harrowers would have got him, and if they didn't get him, again, he would have necked himself on their retaliate, like, and
Yes.
then I mean, we couldn't even kill any of those Harrowers.
No.
He would have been sitting there next to Calvin holding the door,
Yeah.
like, so
I
and
I
then then the tree that was just doing damage to everything, like,
I dare say that's probably the hardest one for him. Really, really
uh
hard to make it work.
yeah, I think there's a couple more I can think of that would be as hard. So yeah, that's definitely up there for being one of the worst.
And I'm pretty sure that's the one that Weedy had Ormi on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the room full of frozen corpses was that one. So
Oh,
he walked up and just got absolutely
the
cleaned up.
worst. No, no.
Yeah. 114. We then met Pinter and we had to go on a bombing run. And we had to deal with all the animals.
Uh,
Your face.
nah. He would have been dead so much.
Just super bunched from
So,
all the
so much
spawns.
dead.
Because that was an
Yeah.
unlimited spawn one, wasn't it?
It was unlimited spawn, and not just that, is it was super small, right? Like it was basically one room, and then you blow the wall, and then you get a second room.
Mm,
But there was just shit going everywhere,
it
right?
was.
Like that was nah, not a chance. So yeah, again, Ormi, we're not taking you on that run.
No. We got that was sorry, that was a section event scenario that we did. We then got a side one. So we had a side scenario. It was 112. It was the one with the puppy that we then returned to its parents, and the cave was full of stuff that we
That was
then.
the first one with Beyblades, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah,
was.
okay. I don't really remember that one very well. I think it was probably fine, other than Beyblades, who would have jumped around and maybe necked him that way.
Well,
But
the one we had with him had Beyblades, so
yeah, yeah, I know.
he's pretty Beybladed
Um,
up. He knows what he's doing.
yeah, so I mean, I think from memory that one would be fine, unless there was something really weird in the second room. Um,
That's one of the few scenarios I can't really remember it. I
mm,
remember the first room exactly how you're saying it. The rest of it's a little bit blurry, but the next one I definitely remember. Oh, this was also during our part where we started every second scenario or something. We started getting snow imps all the time as well, which definitely add to the problems. We then went into scenario 8, and I believe this is the start of the unfettered chain, and this was the Crystal Trench, where we had the snow imps in there. We had our first instances of living dooms, and there was a big fat polar bear right at the end, and we had
Oh,
to
was that?
escape.
Oh, is that with the wolves chasing us?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Ormy's not
Nah,
getting away from them.
nah. Unless because we didn't have a bone shaper in that one, and we always talked about that one being interesting in that if you did have a bone shaper, they'd pretty much just all the summons would get stuck at the start and kind of form a wall.
Hmm.
So the only way I can see it is if we had a bone shaper and then you just had Ormy the chance to just run,
Yeah. You almost
right?
have to keep a mob up. You can plan it by keeping mobs littered throughout. Because I remember the only thing you had to do was kill the polar bears, I think. That was the only requirement. You couldn't just run to the exit and escape. You had to
Yeah.
connect the polar bears on the way. But as long as you've got things ahead for Ormy to go towards, so he never has a reason to turn around. And then when he gets up to that thing, you kill it. And then as long as we
Oh,
escape.
yeah, of course. Yeah, you would, wouldn't he? The wolves will spawn. He'd be like, "Don't worry, boys, I'll go back and get them."
Correct.
You're like, "No, no, come this way. No, come on, don't have
He
to be a hero."
but the thing is, if we escape, then it's over. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it just comes down to whether or not we can beat his clock,
yeah.
ultimately. We then had scenario 21. This was a boss one. This was the Frost Prince. This
Oh,
was
did we do that early? Wow, okay.
mm, and
Nah, this is another one that I think would be really bad for him.
is it the orb room?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
100% it's all
Because if he makes it through the orb room and he gets stuck in the junk room, he can just occupy himself in there for a while, right?
Yeah. Well,
But
he wouldn't even hit unless there was a path, he wouldn't hit the obstacles.
mm,
Because they're not, they're just, they're obstacles that can be attacked.
yeah, I
I
think
don't think they count as enemies.
yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. It's been so long.
Oh, actually, no, you might be right because the summons were hitting them. So maybe they are obstacles that count as enemies.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah.
I
But
think
yeah, you're right. If you go through the orb, but I just don't think you would because didn't that orb do like was it 2 damage to everything in the room every time we hit it?
yeah, and we were doing little-ish damage, so we had to hit it quite a few times. It had a fairly
Mm.
healthy health pool,
How much
and
life has he got?
Ormi, I think from memory had like 10.
Yeah, so no way. He'd just melt in that room.
Yeah, okay. Did need lots of wards.
And also because that room's full of skeletons, so he's probably getting hit by something else in that room. I just don't
Oh
think he'd get
yeah,
you past that room.
no, that's fair enough. He's not very good for
Not
bosses.
unless you do like 4 protect 1, right? Like, all right,
Uh,
let's all make sure that he but then you're just sitting there dying because yeah.
yeah, protect the VIP. We went back to Pinter, and Pinter sent us on the second part of the bombing run, but this is the one with the towers and our introduction to the Algox Snow Speakers, who at the very beginning decided to do everything within range 2 takes a certain amount of damage and
Mm.
nearly just destroyed the towers right then and there.
This might be okay because it was pretty big, and I think we got ahead of the curve pretty quickly in that. Like, we were 2 turns ahead of spawns, so we got to a point where we're like, "Well, we just really go wherever we want." But he also has just have a mind of his own, right? Like, if he just starts wandering off into a corner we don't want him to, then he becomes an extra objective. So, yeah, look, that one would be fun with him, but I don't know if it's a great one for him.
What I like about
Yeah, okay.
those kind of scenarios is like we need to kill the pillars. Oh, sorry, we need to protect the pillars. Never mind. Don't worry about me. I was going to say because Ormi can go and hit a pillar, and knowing him, he probably would. And we're
Probably
like,
would, yeah.
no, what are you
No,
doing?
mate, like, stop it.
Finally, scenario 10. The Algox chain with the pillars that were giving shield to everything, and those priests.
Considering we almost didn't survive, right? I think what we had to draw not a miss on the last flip of a card
Yeah,
to survive and win. I don't think he has any chance of surviving that.
no, but yeah, okay. No, that's fair. There was a time where I needed someone to soak up some of the disarms and immobilizers that I was taking, and I really could have used him right there because you guys weren't blocking them for me, and I just had a few of those turns where I was
Mm.
doing nothing. And it's very interesting saying all this because all of those scenarios we're talking about, we still had our initial lineup, right? We still had ours.
Yeah, OG.
Yeah, it was OG the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I agree. As a sponge for damage and status effects, he would have been great in that one, but not to try and make him survive.
Do you think we'll get him back? Just in
We have to.
adult form?
Yeah, he got to come back.
But like in the similar vein of taking him into a scenario.
I hope he comes back and is a class unlock.
Oh. Yeah, okay. That'll be sick. How would that work?
Like, well, you read the card and it says, open what envelope blah or whatever the
Yeah,
hell
it's
that
true.
says with unlock a class.
It's just Ormi sounds like a human. He doesn't sound like
Yeah.
any of the symbols. I don't know what symbol would go with Ormi.
I don't know, badass.
Bad, yeah, badass spear, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He probably isn't, and everyone who knows what other classes are probably listening to this is going, "You're an idiot." But it better not be something shit like gain full morale. Like, if it's gain morale, okay, then I'm not going to commit to doing anything ridiculous, but I'm going to make a statement that I would like to do something ridiculous,
Like what?
write a strongly worded letter to somebody.
Can you write it and then can I read it?
Oh, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And you don't have to be here when I read it out loud, but I can just read it from the heart.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. If the reward for keeping Ormi alive is morale, right?
What if it's
I
morale and
will.
something else? What if it's morale and, like a whole bunch of shit, and then morale is the thing on top?
If morale is the best thing that we get out of that, right? If it's like get 4 lumber and 10 gold and
A shovel and
5
morale.
morale, I am going to take 2 minutes at least to have a rant.
Like
I
it.
mean, I've pretty much already done it now and telling people why I would hate that, but yeah.
All right.
So I imagine that if anybody knows what the reward actually is, and they know that it is morale, then they're going to be eagerly listening for when we pull that. Let's see how pissed off we can make Gaz.
Look, it could get even sadder, guys. It could get to the point where just due to randomness, we never draw him back and he's gone. Like we don't see him again. He never comes back.
Is it a road event?
It's an event. I don't remember if it's a road or an outpost or whatever, but it's in
I
one of
can't
those
even-
decks, right? And due to adding cards, we shuffle it. It may forever be cycled down, or we may never come back.
Yeah, because if we know if it's in road or Frosthaven outpost event, then we can just keep repeating scenarios forever until we get it.
Yeah, that's true.
What happens if you run out of calendar boxes? Do you lose?
I don't know if you can.
Well, I mean, you can, because you could just repeat the same scenario forever, and then you would lose. Like, then you get to the end.
Oh, then you suck. No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
no. Like, no offense if someone's that's
Yeah, I
happened.
was gonna say, like, this is awkward, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so just timestamp this here for in 18 months when we get to the end and we haven't finished the scenario. So just write back in with that soundbite of like,
I'll take
you
it. I'll
suck.
take it. Yeah, I'll be the advocate of we suck.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I
but
don't
does
know.
it say in the rule book? Does it say?
There's more sheets. Like I don't know.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, there's more campaign sheets.
Oh no, but that's for when you play it next time, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're running multiple at the same time, I've got it right here.
I mean,
Oh, there's a section event.
oh, at the end.
Yes.
Oh, it's like
it's
rip,
game over. It's like
game over,
yeah,
man.
it's gonna be like wow.
Yeah,
Didn't think you'd get to here.
if you're reading this, you suck.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's orcs. Yeah, okay, cool. Maybe that's how you win. Oh god, there's so many questions
Draining
now,
it
Detty.
out. Oh yeah, you're right.
Maybe the objective is to just stall.
Maybe we all wake up and it was one big dream.
Oh god, if it's a dream, I'm never playing a Haven game again.
You're gonna run a 5-minute letter this time.
Oh, and I'll write it straight to Isaac. I'll be like, this was no good in Mario 2, and it has not aged any better in the next 30 years. Right?
I never finished Mario 2, so that was a bit of a spoiler for me.
Fuck off.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, go play Mario 2. It's a good game.
I'll go play Mario 2.
Terrible ending.
I'll read a guide. So, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of amDirt. We wrap it up there. We get back to our regular sessions next week, where I think we're still going down Algos Land. I think we're probably doing the next one of that. We're going to retire our media, or we will have them forever. Interestingly, just quickly, before I wrap this up, after the chat with Weedy, with his suggestion of looking into Dwarf's campaign thing, I went into the finished PQs that we'd already done to check. There are 4 numbers, right, that we need to have done by like year 3 or something like that. All right, according to his thing. We currently in circulation, because I've looked at everyone's one, but just for the number down the bottom. Right, there's a number of the actual quest down the bottom, so I can quickly have a look at the number. We've got 3 of them out of the 4.
What in our current PQs?
Either finished or in circulation.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
one of them, if we're going to do this, which probably we should, the next person who retires, that will be their PQ.
Okay.
I have not
Alright, so
seen. I have
so
not
next
seen
person
what's
that
required.
draws-
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what we have to do is isn't the thing in his guide to go through the PQs, make sure that that's one of the choices. If there's only one left, then you have to choose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Dwarf said so.
Yes. Daddy
Okay.
Dwarf said so. So yeah. So that's good. It means that we're not too far from the house rule that Dwarf has told us to play, and
Enforced.
He's telling us
Yeah.
how to play, because we don't want to be progression locked in a board game.
If we don't do it that way, is Dwarf going to fly to our game in a helicopter
And break our
punch
legs?
us?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, break
He's a
legs
dwarf
and
though. He's
punch
gonna tunnel under.
Ah, tunnel under. Wait, I suppose you can just dig through the earth, right? That's how it works, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
We're on the opposite side.
Okay. Yep.
All right. That's gonna wrap it up. I've been Detty. I've been joining in my Gaz.
When it comes to rolling table, really, it's all on the wrist. Why are we doing this really quickly?
I don't know.
Are we paying by the minute?